The outrageousness of this one, I think, matches where Stephen King goes to these outrageous places in his stories. Well, this really goes there in a great way. Jason Renshaw is this seemingly perfect hitman. He can choose life or death for anybody anywhere around him. And that's what he believes he is. So when that starts falling apart, he starts getting scared. But the only way to get back to Jason Renshaw is to win.
This episode has so many visual effects in it that you could consider it one giant visual effect. Brian Henson and I hooked up very early on and started talking about perspectives and shooting tests and looking for interesting ways to tell a story between two vastly different size scales. You have little people and William Hurt, and the little people are about that big, and he's big. So from their perspective, he's a monster, and from his perspective, they're tiny.
The characters themselves, the little soldiers, are very much a visual effect. And even though they're very inexpressive, they're very real.
It should look like real toy soldiers running around on the floor and doing things, firing weapons and flying helicopters and driving jeeps and all that stuff.
Producers and directors nowadays have a fairly good understanding of the visual effects process. However, it's a constantly evolving form because technology, software changes all the time, and new demands are always being placed on visual effects companies to try and make the impossible possible.
One of the things that becomes difficult is how to photograph the world from a small perspective.
What you might want to do is crab towards me just a little bit.
So we're actually shooting two different movies here. We're shooting the full-scale movie, which we're shooting here in Australia. Then we have actors in Los Angeles that will be wearing suits that are green, and we'll shoot them on blue screen, and then we reduce them 18 times and fit them into this world. And so it takes about 150 people that are all working in the little area of keeping track of the details, continuity of all the different scales. You can't have an M16 that looks one way here and have it look different when it gets to full scale. So we're taking all the jeeps and weapons and rubberizing them and making them look like toys, but they're full scale.
Action! Trying to light it, trying to light it. They're shooting at you, they're shooting at you. Try to light it. Try to get it lit. They're shooting at you.
We're very detailed, William and I, when we're working in terms of what exactly is he seeing, what exactly are these soldiers doing when he's looking at them. And the more specific we can be with that, the more real it all feels. This set serves so many functions. It initially is this very cold, creepy, but beautiful apartment that you would imagine you'd see in architectural magazines and decorating magazines, but it's soulless and cold, and we blow it all to smithereens.
There is a sequence where William Hurt is barricaded into his bathroom in his penthouse suite, and he's being shot at by these soldiers. And the only way to escape is by climbing out on the ledge of this building. So what we did was built a set on a soundstage, and he climbs out onto this ledge, which in actual fact is probably only about 5 or 6 feet off the ground, and then we will create a virtual background.
It's a tough thing to maintain reality because you have to feel like every moment really happened the way we're saying it happened.
Audience expectations nowadays are very, very high, and if we can make it absolutely believable, then we've achieved our goal.
It's not about the visual effects, it's about the drama, and it's about the story. Do you relate to the main character?
Well, I think I first responded to the extraordinary idea of doing a movie where there's no dialogue.
You'll think you heard words, but you won't have heard any words.
It's a wonderful little short story that we've expanded by really watching every detail. In setting up Renshaw, it's pretty brutal. When he kills Hans Morris, it's a pretty vicious, calculated killing. And it's really to give us all aspects of Renshaw. He's asocial, and he really just doesn't want anyone in his space. He's perfection, that's his illusion, that's what he needs to support. And this struggle between this seemingly perfect hitman and these little toy soldiers thematically resonated for me. Well, this is more of a special effects piece. The characters themselves, the little soldiers, are very much a visual effect. Having said that, even though they're very inexpressive, they're very real. You know, we're very detailed, William and I, when we're working in terms of what exactly is he seeing, what exactly are these soldiers doing when he's looking at them.
And we have to get the timing right. Brian understands that because he works with toys and he works with puppets.
Here we go. And action. William.
What I guess I like the most about it is it's really outrageous. You know, this guy who's being hunted in his apartment by little toy soldiers is outrageous. But for him, his experience is really a life and death drama.
I love Stephen King. I've read Stephen King for radio and stuff. I've read his stories. I like him a lot. I mean, you know, I think you have to be careful with him. I think you have to really bring life to it. Otherwise, it's effects over life. And I think, you know, what's great is that there's a modesty to his work, and you have to work to understand that. You have to get underneath it. You know, otherwise you're just showing his ideas. Just the two facts, you know, the battle of the toys, and I mean, violence between people and people is absurd and it's ridiculous. So when it's between a person and toys, then it's like a parody of human violence, and it embarrasses it, which it should be embarrassed of itself. You know, and then the silence, not words. I mean, you'll think you heard words, but you won't have heard any words. Since I play characters, it is not me up there. I'm always creating something anyway, and Brian understands that because he works with toys and he works with puppets, and that's what actors really do, is they create characters that are like toys.
Here we go. And action. William.
He's so open from the very beginning, because I called him up and said, you know, will you let me work on this imagery stuff? And a lot of directors, they kind of go, what are you talking about? And I said, I want to work with animal imagery. First of all, I'm going to go to the zoo and I want to take a video camera with me and video animals. And he was just completely, immediately open to all that. He knew that I wasn't going to freak out and pretend I was a lion or pretend I was, you know, a monkey, that I was going to be using those, you know, those ideas. So you study them, and then you use those meanings to create a character. The first question I asked was, what animal do you think he's? First answer was Black Panther. Then we worked on other animals, which were images that represented the degradation of the character as he goes from thinking he's, you know, top of the, you know, the pooch to being degraded and lost, and realizing he's lost this fight to his own grandiosity. They're just spunky and charming and humorful and gutsy, and they're innovative. They're just amazing people. I mean, you want to jump up and say, you're the best crew I ever worked with in my life. This is Angela. She's
Hello.
brilliant. She does all the blood and guts. You want to see my favorite part of the day? This is the day. This is the.
Wash the day away.
That's my favorite part.